The movie begins in a frozen land, where Superman, barely conscious, bleeds onto the snow. He looks injured and hopeless. At that moment his dog called Krypton approaches, cheerful and unaware of the danger still clinging to the air. His tail wags as he leaps onto his master, nudging him gently. Superman, barely able to speak, whispers a plea. He needs to go home. Meanwhile, Krypton helps Superman to take him home. The giant doors open, offering shelter from the storm outside. Inside, robots move fast, lifting him with smooth precision. They speak without emotion. Superman, ever human, thanks them. To ease his pain and speed up healing, the robots play an old recording, a message left by his real parents, Jor-El and Lara. They speak with warmth and sorrow, explaining why they sent their infant son away from Krypton before its destruction. But the message doesn't last. The robots assess his condition. 14 bones broken, damage to his kidneys, liver, and bladder. He's in bad shape, and only one thing can truly restore him, which is direct sunlight. Without delay, they carry him into its glow. For someone like Superman, the sun is more than light, it's life. Slowly, strength begins to return. Superman is only 83% healed. Service robots beg him to rest. He ignores them off. A spa woman called Amanda circles the Antarctic ice in a sleek jet, radioing her team. No trace of the target. She informs her team when she observes Superman flying to the air that he is back. Far away, Luthor issues a single order to drop Superman for his huge robot. A massive war starts between them, strikes like a freight train, and leaves the hero sprawled, helpless. A civilian named Malik Ali, who once shared lunch with Superman, rushes over, hauling him to his feet. Hidden cameras planted by Luthor capture the moment. Amanda spots a flash of red and blue slipping through the fortress gates before they close. She reports the sighting for Luthor. Luthor watches the scene unfold on a wall of monitors. On screen, the hammer wielder jeers at the fallen icon while onlookers mock. Then the truth surfaces that the hammer of Borovia is a robot called Ultraman, built to mimic and outthink Superman. Luthor explains to his investors that Ultraman has spent decades studying every twitch of the hero's life. Meanwhile, Kent limps back into the Daily Planet newsroom office. A warm call from his adoptive parents reminds him he is still their son. He keeps it brief, burdened by secrets. Lois Lane breezes by, teasing, her laugh a beam of light amid gathering clouds. While she is discussing with other teammates, the president of Borovia denies any link to the hammer wielder. Public trust in Superman wavers. At Luthor Corp, Luthor addresses a room of business titans. He unveils a line of Ultramen and a squad of Raptor-class metahumans, purpose-built to neutralize alien threats. Proof, he insists, that Superman's presence may soon cost Earth more than it can bear. The business leaders push back. They remind Luthor that Superman has saved the world more times than anyone can count, and remains widely admired. When pressed for evidence, Luthor admits he has none. That ends the meeting. At night, Lois gets back to her home, but she hears a noise from her back. Then she suspects something is inside of her home. Then quickly she realizes that Kent is cooking in the kitchen. Quickly they get into an intimate time, having fun and sharing kisses. Meanwhile, Kent asks if Lois would interview him. She agrees. As the recorder clicks on, Lois wastes no time stating what it feels like to be under fire from the public and even the government. She brings up the Secretary of Defense's formal inquiry into his actions overseas. Superman explains he stepped in during a crisis in Jarampa and spoke directly with Boravia's president. But details, he keeps those close, saying only that it's personal. Lois pushes again, asking if he even asked permission before flying into Boravian airspace. He didn't. He went alone, uninvited, convinced something dangerous was brewing. Innocent people were at risk. That was enough. Lois mentions she's been targeted online because of her connection to him. Superman shrugs it off because he doesn't follow social media. Then his tone shifts. He opens up. Quietly, he tells her about Krypton, a lost world, erased from existence. Its cities, stories, and language are gone. He speaks of the parents who loved him enough to let him go, sending him across galaxies in hope that he'd find a new home and perhaps a purpose. A chance to help humanity. Lois admits what's been circling the headlines, that many people suspect Superman's presence on Earth hides a darker purpose. The comment hits Kent like a punch. His expression hardens. Lois, sensing she's lost him, tries to soften the blow. She admits she had a feeling this conversation would fall apart. Relationships, she says, have never been easy for her. Kent doesn't argue. He doesn't even respond. He simply stands and walks out, leaving Lois in silence. This moment drives home his ongoing struggle, trying to live openly as Earth's protector while keeping sacred the story of his lost world. On the other side, Luthor arrives at the Fortress of Solitude. Somehow, impossibly, he opens its gates, something only Superman should be able to do. Amanda is stunned. Luthor doesn't wait for explanations. He storms inside with his team. The robots meant to guard the fortress fall quickly. Krypton appears, but he's barely defeated. Luthor's goal isn't conquest, it's information. He's here to dig up anything that might discredit Superman. Superman. Back in Metropolis, one of Luthor's operatives, Otis, arrives carrying a sealed container, the kind that never holds anything good. It's all part of the plan, keep Superman busy. Luthor scrapes secrets from the fortress. Amanda, working in the background, struggles to restore the corrupted message from Superman's parents. After painstaking effort, she finally does. At the same time, Otis opens the box. A small creature leaps out. Within minutes, it morphs into a towering monster that tears through the city. Superman arrives in a flash, saving a dog's seconds from being crushed. Then, Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, and Mr. Terrific land in a burst of motion. The Justice League joins the fight. Together, they bring the beast down. The massive beast begins to topple, threatening to crush the panicked crowd beneath it. Superman moves without hesitation. He pushes people out of harm's way, shielding them with his own body until the danger passes. But when the dust settles, no one claps. No cheers. Only silence. The media, fed by weeks of suspicion and fear, has turned public trust into paranoia. Superman is no longer seen as a savior. Thankfully, no lives are lost. Emergency broadcasts confirm that. Still, the doubt lingers. Things get worse. Amanda's restored message, once seen as a hopeful piece of history, is reanalyzed by a global team of top linguists. The final translation hits like a bombshell. Jor-El and Lara speak of their love, their grief, and their hopes for their son. They say Earth is the best possible refuge. But buried in the message is something darker, a warning. They describe Earth's people as naive, fractured, and weak-willed. Then comes the chilling line that Kal-El must remove those unworthy to serve him and rule without mercy to preserve Krypton's legacy. Luthor wastes no time. He holds a press conference, pointing to the translation as proof. He accuses Superman of quietly preparing to dominate Earth and set the stage for a Krypton empire. Luthor vows that as long as he lives, he'll fight to stop it. Crowds spit accusations as Superman walks the streets, each shout cutting deep. He slips into a quiet room, only to face Green Lantern, who now sees him as a threat after hearing the recovered recording from Krypton. Superman argues the file was incomplete. He never heard the second half. Mr. Terrific steps in and says forensic experts confirmed the message is genuine, leaving no room for doubt. Shaken, Superman heads for his fortress, certain it is the source of the original tape. World leaders call an emergency summit to debate whether he endangers the planet. On television, Baravia's president claims Superman intervened in Jahanpur to enslave its people. After the broadcast, the president enters a secret portal that opens into Lex Luthor's office. He gloats, thinking the forged message destroyed Superman, but Luthor corrects him. The message is authentic, and using it was easy. Superman reaches his fortress and finds ruins. A damaged service robot apologizes for failing to defend the place, then powers down in Superman's arms. Krypton is missing. Furious, Superman flies to Luthor and demands answers, which is about his lost dog. Luthor swears he knows nothing. While they argue, Lex's partner Eve records the confrontation on her phone and streams it live. As news channels loop Peacemaker's tirade against him, Superman reaches his breaking point. He shows up at Lois's apartment. Lois is startled. With a gentle smile, she comments that she didn't even know he had a dog. He explains that the ship carrying him from Krypton was damaged, and he only ever heard the first half of his parents' message. The second half, the part damning him, is unknown to him until now. Lois listens, then tells him she believes him. Still, she doesn't let him off easily. She points out his biggest weakness, trusting too easily, assuming people, especially humans, will always do the right thing. Superman lowers his eyes. In a whisper, he tells her he loves her. They say goodbye. Just two people, worn down, holding on to a fragile thread of connection. The next day, Luthor's soldiers waste no time. They knock Superman to the ground, beat him without restraint, and drag him aboard a transport ship. He's flown out to a secret facility hidden deep in the desert. There, he's escorted by a unit of superpowered enforcers bred for this moment. They take him to a rift in space, one of several portals hidden around the world. A prison with no bars, no walls, and no way out. They reach the heart of the trap, a hidden prison buried inside the pocket universe, where Luthor keeps his most inconvenient problems locked away. Political dissenters, whistleblowers, a few unlucky ex-girlfriends, even a woman whose only offense was blogging about their breakup. Superman is tossed into a cell with Rex, a shapeshifter who can mold his body into anything, including weapons. Luthor gives Rex a clear command: turn your hand into kryptonite. Rex hesitates, but he can't say no. Back in Metropolis, Lois is digging through Luthor Corp files. Something doesn't add up. She finds a hidden paper trail showing that Luthor has been selling weapons to Boroviya at suspiciously low prices, a clue that the political chaos isn't just being exploited, but fueled. Then Jimmy barges in. His source has confirmed a chilling truth. Superman is alive, but trapped in a synthetic dimension Luthor built. Inside the pocket universe, Luthor appears in person, grinning. He tells Superman they've captured Krypton. The dog will be studied, examined, and will be sacrificed. Elsewhere, Jimmy meets up with Eve, Luther's girlfriend, though it's clear her loyalty is cracking. She admits she doesn't know the full extent of Luther's plans, but she'll dig deeper. On one condition, Jimmy has to take her out to dinner. Before she leaves, Eve says something that shakes him. The day before, Luther tortured a dog, and he isn't finished. She's shaken by it, and even more disturbed by his open bragging. He boasts about jailing every woman who ever crossed him. Back inside the prison, Superman, weak and barely holding on, pleads with Rex. He says if Rex removes the kryptonite, they can work together. They can save his son. But Rex breaks, not with tears, but rage. He snarls and shoves the kryptonite even closer, forcing Superman into agony. He's not ready to hope. Lois meets with the Justice League, her voice steady but urgent. She's done waiting. Superman needs help, and she's going to find him with or without them. Mr. Terrific steps forward. He reveals he once embedded nanosensors into Superman's bloodstream as a precaution. That decision now proves critical. He's tracked the signal to an old, decommissioned military base. The signal ends there, but he's certain Superman is trapped inside a pocket universe. Still, not everyone's on board. Green Lantern and Hawk Girl exchange glances. Neither wants to go. They've seen the message. They've heard the rumors. They won't fight for someone they're not sure they can trust. Lois doesn't hold back. Her eyes narrow as she turns to Green Lantern and quips that haircut's not working for him. With that, she storms out. Before she can leave the building, Mr. Terrific catches up. He tells her he's in. She won't go alone. In that moment, it's clear, while heroes debate, Lois acts. And when the world turns its back on Superman, she doesn't flinch. Her loyalty burns brighter than ever. Vassal and Luther drag Malik Ali, the civilian who once helped Superman when he was wounded, into the prison. Luther's plan is simple. Use Malik as leverage to break Superman's will. Superman, already weakened, pleads with them, but Luther doesn't respond to mercy. They begin questioning Superman about supposed allies. He swears he's alone. Luther doesn't believe a word. Without hesitation, one of his men raises a gun and shoots Malik Ali in the head. No warning, no second chances. Superman screams, restrained and powerless. The act is pure cruelty, cold, calculated, and without remorse. Elsewhere, Lois and Mr. Terrific arrive at the remote base where Superman is held. The rescue is no longer a mission, it's personal. Mr. Terrific picks up traces of Superman's signal and moves fast, clearing the path with expert precision, shielding Lois behind a glowing energy field. He doesn't hesitate, taking down every obstacle with focus and speed. They reach a tent, deceptively ordinary, but inside lies the key, a rift to the pocket universe. Terrific pauses and explains the danger. Creating a pocket universe isn't just experimental, it's reckless. Every time someone enters or exits, there's a risk of destabilizing space itself. A black hole could tear reality wide open. But there's no time for theory. He starts decoding the sequence. The clock is ticking. Superman's running out of time. Inside the cell, Rex is shattered. He stares at the spot where Malik Ali died, guilt weighing on him like chains. He failed to protect an innocent man. Choking back emotion, he turns to Superman and asks, barely able to speak, if they can still save his son. Superman, despite his weakness, gives a steady nod. Rex dissolves the kryptonite he'd been holding, letting it melt away into his palm. The air around them shifts. Superman finally breathes without agony. He explains his powers come from Earth's yellow sun. Without sunlight, his body weakens. He's been cut off for too long. Meanwhile, outside the pocket universe, Lois and Mr. Terrific crack the code. The portal opens, shimmering with unstable energy. They step through, but their path forward isn't clear. In front of them, a glowing river of antiprotons pulses like liquid fire. One misstep, and they'd be vaporized instantly. They're close, but death now stands between them and Superman. Inside the cell, Superman's strength is returning slowly. Rex, watching him closely, says he has an idea. He can't create a real sun, but he can simulate one. By combining certain chemical compounds his body naturally produces, he generates a makeshift energy source. It's crude, but it works. Superman, revitalized, wastes no time. He blasts through the walls, finds Rex's son, and carries the small shapeshifter back to his father. The reunion is quiet, but powerful. With no time to spare, the three race to find Krypton. But just as they near escape, enemies ambush them, driving them toward the deadly river of antiprotons. Then, out of nowhere, Krypton leaps in, fearless and loyal. As chaos erupts and gravity begins to warp around them, a black hole forms. Superman, teetering on the edge of annihilation, shouts Krypton's name. Rex joins the struggle. Between his help and Superman's signature ice-cold breath, they deflect the vortex just long enough to break free to NMR. Terrific appears on the other side of the portal, arms outstretched, and pulls them all through, right as the entrance seals behind them for good. Outside, Superman stumbles into the light. He and Lois lock eyes. They embrace. He's still weak, still wounded, but already thinking of others. There are more people trapped in there, he says. They need help. Mr. Terrific offers his ship without hesitation. Then let's go get them. Back in the city, Eve calls Jimmy. Her voice is low but determined. She's got everything. The files, the evidence, the secrets. Luthor's empire is built on lies, and she's ready to burn it down. Before Eve hands over the intel, she makes Jimmy promise to take her on a proper date, just the two of them, Saturday night. But before she can explain more, Luthor appears out of nowhere. He grabs her and vanishes. In the chaos, she manages to transmit files, except when Jimmy checks, all he finds are glamour selfies. Later, Lois and Superman visit Kent's adoptive parents. It's a quiet, grounding moment amid the madness. Then Jimmy calls. He's confused. He sends Lois the selfies. That's when Lois spots it. In the background, blurred and seemingly accidental, are screenshots and data logs belonging to Luthor. Not nonsense. Hidden evidence. Eve didn't fail. She outsmarted everyone. Masked her betrayal behind something no one would take seriously. Back in his lab, Luthor prepares to reopen the portal to the Pocket Universe. His scientists warn him, doing so risks tearing open a fissure in three-dimensional space. He doesn't blink. Don't pause. He activates the fissure, fully aware that the universe itself might unravel. And that's why building pocket dimensions should never be left to men like him. The next morning, Superman sits with Jonathan Kent on the porch. They watch the sunrise. Jonathan turns to him and says Lois is good for you. Then, more softly, he adds, you've changed lately. Superman nods. He confesses the truth, the crushing guilt of learning that his biological parents may have sent him to Earth to dominate it. But Jonathan doesn't flinch. Parents don't shape who you become. You do. He pulls his son into a hug. Not just for Kent, but for Superman. Green Lantern sits alone, watching the chaos unfold on the news. War has broken out in Borovia, and the footage is grim. In the middle of it, children plead for Superman's help. He sees it too, and he's ready to act. But Mr. Terrific intercepts him. The fissure comes first, he says. If it expands, it won't just level Borovia, it could tear the entire planet apart. Elsewhere, Jimmy and Lois brief Perry, head of the newsroom. The truth spills fast. Luthor's behind it all. He's trying to seize control of half of Jiren and crown himself king. His alliance with Moravia's president, Vassal, runs deep. Together, they built the fissure to keep Superman distracted, just long enough for their war to move unchecked. Mr. Terrific confirms the worst. The fissure can't be shut down. Luthor refuses to stop it, and his own people won't go against him. So the team makes a bold move. They rip Terrific's ship right out of Luthor Corp's building. There's a failsafe, a shutdown code that can collapse the fissure, but it's stored deep within Luthor's servers. Superman is dragged into a massive football stadium, where a brutal fight erupts. Amanda, the metahuman, joins the battle, though it's unclear which side she's on. Luthor watches from a control booth, calm as ever. He orders Amanda to pump Superman's lungs full of high-pressure air. She obeys, and Superman writhes on the ground, barely breathing. As his body struggles, nanites swarm through his bloodstream, poison in microscopic form. Luthor gives Amanda the final command, injecting the rest. End him, and in the shadows, Vassal is already on his way. The war is set to begin. Superman soars as high as possible, breaking through Earth's atmosphere. With Amanda in tow, he pushes past the stratosphere, rising until there's nowhere left to go. They plummet. The impact is seismic. Amanda doesn't survive the fall. Her body lies shattered. But Superman staggers to his feet. Barely breathing, he channels every last ounce of strength and forces the nanites from his bloodstream in one final surge. Superman turns to Luthor and says, with quiet certainty, you've already lost. Because he called for backup. Across the skies, the Justice League arrives. Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, and with them, Rex and his son. Together, they move to stop the war before it ignites. Meanwhile, back at the newsroom, Perry greenlights the story. Lois and Jimmy now know everything. Luthor fueled the conflict, manipulated governments, and framed Superman, all to justify killing him. But Luthor isn't finished. He sends in the Raptors, his elite metahuman squad. Then comes another shock. Amanda, somehow, is still clinging to life. And Ultraman survived too. As the dust settles, Ultraman's mask breaks loose. Superman freezes. The face looking back at him is his own. Luthor's secret is revealed. He cloned Superman from a single strand of hair salvaged from the wreckage of a past battle. That's how Ultraman bypassed the defenses of the Fortress of Solitude. He carries Superman's DNA. Slower, Luthor orders him to attack again, determined to prove that brute strength, properly controlled, can outmatch intelligence. Elsewhere, a small child in war-torn Borovia prays for Superman to come. Superman turns to Luthor and says, with quiet certainty, you've already lost. Because he called for backup. Across the skies, the Justice League arrives. Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, and with them, Rex and his son. Together, they move to stop the war before it ignites. Meanwhile, back at the newsroom, Perry greenlights the story. Lois and Jimmy now know everything. Luthor fueled the conflict, manipulated governments, and framed Superman, all to justify killing him. Even as Ultraman pummels him, Superman smiles through the blood. "You'll never win, Luthor," he says. "The mind beats muscle every time." Then he calls for Krypton. Freed from Ultraman's grip, Superman commands his loyal dog to gather the spheres. Luthor's hidden surveillance tech. The Raptors arrive. Superman faces them head-on. One by one, he defeats them. Then, the clone returns, desperate to finish what he started. But this time, Superman doesn't hold back. He lands a blow so powerful, Ultraman is launched into a swirling black hole. It consumes him completely, erasing this twisted mirror of the Man of Steel. With the battle behind them, Superman and Mr. Terrific head straight for Luthor Corporation. There's one last mission: close the fissure before it tears the world apart. Superman stands in front of Luthor, calm but strong. He says he feels just like any other person. He feels love. He feels fear. Every day, he wakes up, makes mistakes, and keeps moving forward. That's what being human means, he says. He hopes one day, Luthor will understand that. But Luthor doesn't care. He tells Superman that world leaders gave him permission to kill him. Before Luthor can do anything, Krypton jumps in. The loyal dog attacks him with full force, biting, clawing, and knocking him down. The same dog people overlook turns out to be the one who saves the day. Lois, Mr. Terrific, and the others watch everything from a distance. They see the portal, the dangerous fissure, finally close. Mr. Terrific cracked the code just in time. The Earth is safe again. Krypton's help turns out to be a key part of the battle, proving that even Superman, with all his power, still needs friends. Soon after, the truth comes out on the news. Everyone sees what Luthor was really doing, working with Vassal, selling weapons, and starting a war just to get rid of Superman. The world finally realizes they were wrong about Superman. They turned against him when he needed them most. Now they see he was trying to protect them the whole time. Luthor is arrested. All his prisoners, including ex-girlfriends and innocent people, are set free. Eve meets up with Jimmy again. She's finally safe. Later, Lois meets Superman in private. She says she came for an interview, but really, she just wanted to see him. They kiss. Then she tells him she loves him too. Their bond is stronger than ever, and in that moment, everything feels calm. Superman returns to his fortress of solitude. The robots have fixed everything, including themselves. The place is clean and peaceful again. He watches a message from Jonathan and Martha, Kentucky. It brings back all the memories of his childhood and reminds him why he fights for love, for truth, for people. At the end, Supergirl arrives with a flash of energy. She says she's been traveling to planets with red suns because she can't get drunk under yellow ones. She also says Krypton is actually her dog, though it's clear the dog loves them both.